What's up, guys? This is Crypto with James talking to you today about the economic crash, the crypto crash, and how you've got to profit from it, how you can profit from it. And it's about sensible investment strategies, not about crazy FOMOing in. But there are opportunities within a recession, and the recession, if not, it's probably here. But if it's not here, it's certainly coming, and and every investor out there is saying it's going to be worse than expected. Also, some interesting development with the Ripple XRP case, which again I'm going to cover in this video. Before I get into it, I update the spreadsheet. If you're new to the channel, these are the first 26 coins I actually spoke about on the channel. They're the first 26 coins I held after the 2018 crash. Had you invested $100 into each of them when I released videos about them, and you'd still hold in them, you did nothing, you never sold them, you'd be in profit for 8K. That's after obviously a massive market crash. But if you had sold those coins when the markets were riding high, when we're in a full-fledged bull cycle, you'd have been in profit for 123K. That's the difference between cashing out at the right time and holding all the way down. If you guys want to make these gains, if you want to make this kind of profit, come check out Copy My Crypto. The link's in the description. It's where I share the coins I'm buying throughout this bear cycle. The coins that I think are going to have the massive gains. And Phantom's top of the list because I did a Udemy course where I said it would 100x. It was my biggest investment prior to the previous bull run. And guys, I'm not going to create another Udemy course. When I find a coin like Phantom that I think can do those gains, I'm simply going to tell the members. So if you want to learn about the biggest coin that's going to end up blowing up in the next bull cycle, come to the site, read through it, and if it resonates with you, I look forward to seeing you there, guys. Right, market is taking a massive beating. Massive beating at the moment. And there's a lot to cover here. So, first of all, let's start with the Ripple case. So both Ripple and the SEC have filed for summary judgment. They both believe they've got enough evidence for the judge to make a decision and make a ruling on whether or not Ripple actually broke the law with regards to violating securities laws with the XRP sales. Ripple CEO actually came out and said the SEC isn't interested in applying the law. They want to remake it all in an impermissible effort to expand their jurisdiction far beyond the authority granted by Congress. And Ripple General Counsel also noted that after 2 years of litigation, the SEC is unable to identify any contract for investment and cannot satisfy a single prong of the US Supreme Court Howey test. I'd be very shocked if SEC wins this, and we should see a judgment, hopefully, with it by the end of next month, if not sooner. But let's see. But in terms of timing, probably the shittest possible time for this to actually happen in terms of the gains that Ripple would have seen. Or gains that XRP rather would have seen, because the market's dying on its arse. And we're probably going to see lower lows today or certainly this week. We've also got the Fed coming out. So any gains that Ripple may have seen are probably going to be negated somewhat by the fact that the markets are taking a beating. Because it made gains on Saturday and then they immediately lost those gains yesterday. So, yeah. And when we look at Bitcoin at the moment, obviously Bitcoin is right now, it's broken out of the triangle. It's currently on course to form a new lower low, but there's a lot of the day left, including the American markets opening. But when we actually look at the weekly nodes on the VRVP, we can see that there are a lot of buy orders hovering around, and there's a lot of volume that's expected to come in around this 12K region. 12K was a level I'd spoken about previously on this channel. It's a level that I thought we could see Bitcoin feasibly go back down to. That was, in my head, worst case scenario, although with the recession imminent, may be wrong. Because there's a few bits of information. The Bank of America did a survey, and it shows investors are fleeing equities en masse. A record 52% of respondents underweight stocks, and cash levels have jumped. And fundamentally, obviously, holding in cash while there's a recession is not the worst plan. although you should be, again, using that cash to invest when things are down, just dollar cost averaging, but I'll talk about that in a sec. So investors are fearing that the Fed are going to tighten rates too far as the inflation continues to bite. This data is actually inaccurate now. I believe it's a 25% chance that the Fed will raise rates by a full percentage in the meeting this week. That number's pretty much unthinkable when earlier this month when the market was debating over a 50 to 75 point hike. And we're actually seeing a few different things happening, but overall the market sentiment is very much the same. Jeffrey Sherman from Double Line said we're all scared of over tightening and the hard landing scenario because the Fed has often over tightened and caused hard landings more often than they have not. Ray Dalio has pointed out in a LinkedIn post that he did that a rise in rates to about 4.5% could sink stocks by about 20%. Right now, the Fed's key policy rate stands at 2.25 to 2.5%. However, by the end of the year, we think it looks like it could be 4.4. Stephen O, who's the global head of credit and fixed income at Pinebridge Investments, said there's a rising risk that the Fed will overshoot the rate hikes in response to stubbornly high inflation data. By doing so, they increase the risk of a recession rather than the soft landing they are seeking to achieve. Worries of Fed tightening have already contributed to a 90% decline in the S&P 500. Global bonds have fallen sharply, helped by a steep sell-off in treasuries. Central banks are facing much sharper trade-offs. They need to choose either live with more inflation or they kill growth. There's nothing in between. That is the head of BlackRock Investment Institute. And the over-tightening would come with material economic pain, risk, and liquidity stress. That is the co-head of the multi-sector fixed income at Macquarie Asset Management. Overall, as we can see, fears are running rampant. Now, lower low looks almost inevitable this week for Bitcoin. The lowest that it's reached so far this year is 18,000. The lowest close, that it had was 18,790. So a lower close is probably going to happen this week. If the Fed tightened by 1%, I think we could see people fleeing markets. All this is, and all people need to remember with regards to investments during a recession, is dollar cost averaging. Can always go lower. I mean, I've seen a lot of people, like randomly people throwing out 3,000 per Bitcoin numbers coming in. I don't see that necessarily, but I could see 8,000, 9,000. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But if your favorite cryptos are at discount, look at the levels that they can drop to, and then from there assess a dollar cost averaging, because they might not drop all that way. They could also drop far lower. But have an amount that you want to invest and then dollar cost average in. Say it's $1,000 that you want to put in, Bitcoin, which is Bitcoin. So if you believe that it can run down to 10 grand, then have entry points played out. Have them separated by reasonable margins as well, because that lowers your entry point overall. So if you've got $250 in say 18 grand, and then it drops to 16 grand, have $250 in at 16 grand, because that's lowered your entry point to 17 grand. If it then drops again to 14 grand, and you've got $250 still left, you've still got $500 left over, you can drop you can do a $250 investment at 14 grand. Now you've got 750 grand spread, 750 quid or dollars spread across 18 grand, 16 grand, and 14 grand. But your entry point is averaged out to 16 grand as a result. And then, say it drops to 10 grand. Have your 250 there allocated get in 10 grand. So you've got a 10 grand entry point, a 14 grand entry point, a 16, and an 18. But overall, your entry point is lowered dramatically. And if it drops lower, it drops lower. But fundamentally, you've got to have a plan of action for how you're going to enter the market. Can't go all in, not at a time when lower lows are expected. It's just about taking your time and being sensible here. Because again, recessions end up making millionaires. That's just a fact. But you've got to, have a logical plan of action. That was just, that $1,000 was just a simple example of how you can DCA in. Because lower lows are coming, guys. Lower lows are coming. I mean, it's inevitable. Whether it is this week, I mean, if the Fed randomly only did a 75 basis point, markets might react okay. 100 basis point, the markets are not going to react okay. The markets are going to tumble a bit more. But again, monitoring everything. You got to monitor the Dixie as well, because if the Dixie continues to rise, all these risk assets are probably going to drop more and more and more. We know that they're sort of inversely proportional, or inversely correlated rather. So all these things matter, but a recession is a good thing in terms of an investment perspective. It's not good in terms of quality of life and living, and people need to start making sure that they're being very careful about their spend, because obviously that's going to continue to be more and more challenging, especially as mortgage rates are going to go through the roof and cost of living is through the roof. But if you've got your money allocated that you can invest and you can do without it for a few years, and just start having a plan of action for how you're going to invest, because money can be made, and a recession is the best time to invest. It's just the hardest, it's the scariest. But if you get over the fear, because you know it's going to go lower, so you're not trying to find the perfect entry point, you're just trying to find good ones, and you'll be okay. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting week. Let's see what the Fed do. Anyway, that's it from me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification so you know when new content is coming out. Let me know, what are you guys doing? How are you preparing for this recession? Let me know in the comments down below. And guys, if you want to see the coins I'm buying up in the recession, buying up in this bear cycle, the coins that I think are going to have the massive gains in the following bull cycle, come check out Copy My Crypto. It's where I share every coin I buy during this bear cycle. The coins I think are going to have the 40, the 50, the 100x. If you want to make these kind of profits, come and see exactly what I'm doing. Read through the site, and if it resonates with you guys, I look forward to seeing you there. Take care. Bye-bye.